I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
1, 2, cool. This is Umar for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm joined by the $1 Million Man, Anthony Crolla. Cordina, two-time world champion incoming?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's going to be a lot of similarities to the Zelfa Barrett fight, where I wouldn't be one bit surprised if Joe puts Rakhimov over early, and he might have to weather a bit of a storm, but I fancy Joe to do it around 9, 10 in an exciting fight in a red-hot atmosphere.
It's disappointing what happened with him. Emphatic knockout of Ogawa to win the world title. Then the IBF situation happened, but we don't really get many two-time British world champions. So has it worked out maybe for the best if he can do it?
Listen, he never should have been stripped. That's a fact, really. We shouldn't be talking about him becoming a two-time world champion, but it'd be a nice thing to put to his name, and he'll still be undefeated, won't he?
Absolutely, should be a red-hot atmosphere in Cardiff this Saturday night. Did you see? Your brother has been announced for yes. May 27th. Big bill to get on as well in Manchester.
Yeah, no, a massive bill. And, listen, as a bigger brother, I'm really proud of him. I think the last handful of years he's done what a lot of young lads do, and probably done it far too often. Been a bit stupid. But, yeah, no, really proud night for him. And I suppose his debut had to be at the arena. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Bit of pressure for him coming into this game?
Of course there is. Listen, there's always going to be comparisons and stuff like that. But, obviously, he wants to make his own name, and he's not deluded either. He knows that he's been handed this opportunity probably because of his second name, without making it about myself. I don't mean it like that. And he'll sell tickets, but he's also very thankful, but he also wants to prove that he belongs on these kind of shows. Similar
to yourself? What's his style like?
Very, very different. Bit of a switch hitter and stuff. Yeah, very, very different in styles, in personalities, and but we're very close.
Look forward to it on May 27th in Manchester. And just get your quick thoughts on the heavyweight division at the moment. Obviously, we saw Joyce in a bit of a shock loss on Saturday night to Zhilei Zhang. Do you think he should take that rematch straight away?
I'll be honest then, controversial one. If he can't get the Dillian White fight, which has been mentioned, then I think definitely take that. It's just an hard one, right? Because I've seen a lot of people. I'd said I do believe he come in a bit too light, and people like that's excuses, and I didn't mean it. Like Zhang was brilliant, and Zhang was the deserved winner. Listen, if it weren't for his eye, would have he ended up bursting the lungs of Zhang, because he was tiring, but also he might have got knocked out, as good as Joe's chin is, because you don't see the shot coming and his eye was completely shut. But it wasn't an air class set, done it. It was the left hand of Zhang that caused Joe's eyes to shut. But I believe we'll see an improved Joyce if they do fight again. And I do believe, if he can fight Zhang and regain his regain his mandatory, I believe he puts it right. And that probably sounds crazy, because Zhang was very good, and for me, he was up well on the cards.
I find it strange. He was coming off a career best performance against Joseph Parker, came in at his usual weight that he normally does, lost a stone, so you thought he might move around and try and box in the early rounds, but he didn't do that. So coming in a stone lighter, it seemed strange.
It did seem strange, and you come off a career best performance, and sometimes I believe that, and it's not me telling someone how to suck eggs in like strength and conditioners, but you see a lot of fighters come in lighter thinking they're going to be faster. It's not always the way. You're losing muscle, it can slow you down and stuff like that. But I really believe that was a mistake coming in. So, and that's not an excuse, because Zhang was brilliant. But I believe a heavier Joe Joyce absorbs the shot better, and he needed it that night.
As usual, after one loss, if a British fighter takes it, everyone writes him off. Do you think he can still mix it with your Furies, Joshua Useks?
Absolutely. I believe Joe Joyce is a hard night's work, and more for a lot of the top heavyweights in the world, because I think he's one of the top heavyweights in the world.
And this Saudi Arabia rumour mill that's going around, I mean, all four parties involved, Alex Krasik, Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren and Shelley Finkel, some get on with each other, some not so much, but exactly that. But if anyone's going to pull it off, Saudi Arabia with the money they have?
You'd think so, yeah. Let's be honest. If there's probably nowhere in the world right now that creates that kind of money that they do and puts up the kind of money they do. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in Saudi.
Who do you fancy out those two fights?
I've always said a fit and focused Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight on the planet, in my opinion. So I've got to stick with that, but there could be some shocks along the way.
What about with Wilder Joshua? Who do you fancy in that?
It's a great fight. It's not going the distance, is it?
Definitely not.
Listen, I go AJ, but I wouldn't be one bit surprised if I got that wrong. Do you know what I mean? I just technically better, and I do think that'll come in. But there is always the thing at some point Wilder does land. But I just think technical ability of AJ comes into play there against Deontay Wilder.
Just lastly, we've seen some breaking news today. UKAD have charged Conor Benn. Have you seen that?
I've saw it only roughly, so now I know they put the ban on him. I don't know, does that stop him fighting around the world or just in...
I'd imagine not. He's still got to get licensed. So,
And I think it seemed pretty common knowledge. I think that Conor was going to, there's rumoured Abu Dhabi himself, so I don't think it makes too much of a difference. But obviously we'd like to see it cleared up if he's to fight over here again, because, you know, a fighter who's very popular like that, you want to see him back in the UK, but obviously he has got some explaining to do. There's no point in me saying otherwise, because a lot of people who want explanations, obviously the British Boxing Board being one. And we'll see, mate. But yeah, no, I don't know if it makes much of a difference, because it seems pretty common knowledge he was going to fight over in, was it Abu Dhabi? So.
it was Abu Dhabi. What have you made of the whole situation?
Oh, mate, listen, it's been a mess. Let's be honest, it's been a mess, and it's all right saying, I like Conor in person and stuff like that, but I think it's fair to say he probably could have handled it a lot better. He's saying he's got the evidence, but he's holding it back because of. But everyone they want to see the evidence. They do, and that's the way the public are. They want to see you clear your name, and if you're not going to do that, people aren't going to be able to move on.
I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,